All in the Family won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about
Play Misty for me.
Play Misty.
Yeah.
For me. Ooh, baby. So many flashbacks to old girlfriends on this one.
Oh, my God. This is our Love Hurts month. Starting off, obviously, Play Misty for me.
A lot of people got hurt.
A lot of people got hurt.
Yeah, they did. Ooh, baby.
God, it's such a great movie. It's done so well.
It really is. Well, it shows, A, how much Clint Eastwood really wanted to direct, and
Yeah.
B, how he really prepared for it. And
Yeah.
this wasn't just him like, I'll direct an action movie or I'll do this. If you really look at the film, I would say his influences are the French New Wave.
Yeah.
Godard. He learned a lot working with the Italian directors.
Yeah.
Sergio Leone.
There's spaghetti
In
westerns.
the spaghetti westerns, he learned a lot about shooting lean and shooting mean. He also learned, by being an actor, that actors can do their job without being micromanaged.
Yeah. You don't need to. Yeah.
And this was the beginning of creating his directing style, which, according to, it's very polarizing. Certain actors love it. Yeah, certain actors love it because they feel like they're trusted and they can move on.
Yeah.
There are other actors that are very insecure. Looking at you, Robert Downey Jr. from years ago.
Yeah.
Who just can't do that. They're
Yeah,
like, oh my God, I need another take.
Yeah.
And he's like,
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
you don't.
Yeah. There's
We're
no.
moving
Yeah.
on.
We're good.
Yeah.
You got what I wanted.
And he consistently comes in under budget and under time.
Yeah.
And, creates really great movies.
Yeah, he's really great. His influences are really obvious in this movie, and it makes for a very good movie. It's a very good first effort.
Yes, because it shows he really paid attention, and he is a filmmaker and not a director.
Yes.
And there's a big difference between the two. I know it sounds very, snooty snoots, but there really is a difference between someone who has a vision and wants to tell a story in a certain way, and a director who's really good at shots and really good at...
Yeah, it definitely felt very Hitchcockian to me. And
that was another
influence. You
influence,
want to compare someone to Hitchcock and do it well, then awesome.
Yeah.
More power to you.
Look, that's a great place to learn.
Yeah.
And I think he took so much... The guy paid attention from the very beginning when he was old rusty on rawhide or whatever.
He's very smart.
The guy was always paying attention because I think he was fascinated by the making of movies, loved the whole process of it.
Yeah.
And when he decided he was going to do it, he made sure he knew how to do it before he did it, which I think is really admirable. And just shows that the guy's got a lot of, he's got a lot of confidence, well earned.
Yeah, for sure.
He's got a lot of ability.
Yeah. The raw talent is definitely there.
A little cranky though sometimes.
Well, take yourself back to 1971.
Ooh.
February 20th, the U.S. Emergency Broadcast System sends an erroneous warning across the nation's radio and television stations meant to be a standard weekly test conducted by NORAD in Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado. Some stations cease broadcasting until the message is rescinded as required by federal rules, while most ignore it.
Yeah, it's frightening. The bombs are falling.
Can
the
imagine.
bombs are
Yeah,
falling.
it's literally like, hey, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
They don't do. Well, maybe they still do the tests of the emergency broadcast system, but
Do on the radio.
Man, in the 80s, it was always like in the middle of a show, something like, oh my god.
Meep, meep, meep.
World's
This is a
ending.
test of the emergency broadcast system. If this was a true emergency, you would be told where to go and what to do and how to die.
For me, growing up in Iowa, a lot of that times the emergency broadcast system was used for tornadoes, and so it was always like, all right, things are bad.
Yeah, they still do it a lot on the radio.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming the actual broadcast probably still does it. We just don't watch it.
Yeah, nobody does.
No. April 20th, National Public Radio airs its first broadcast.
That astounded me. I thought it was a lot older than that.
I thought it was too.
Because that means that Sesame Street came around before the National Broadcasting.
Yeah. Yeah, I PBS had been around for a while before that. But,
this is NPR, so this is radio. It's weird.
Radio,
that is so weird to me.
Exactly. I thought it was very odd, too. I don't know if there were other, public broadcasting, radio things before that.
I don't know.
But yeah, NPR was April 20th, 1971.
crazy.
It's nuts.
Okay. Ah, blew my mind. Ooh.
July 6th, Louis Armstrong dies from a heart attack in his sleep. He'd performed a 2-week stint at the Waldorf Astoria's Empire Room in March. Against his doctor's orders, he suffered a heart attack at the end of the run, and then a few months later died.
Yeah, he was like, my heart is hurting.
Yeah. He played like 2 or 3 shows every day for like 2 weeks.
Louis Armstrong was amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
He saw trees of blue.
He literally played himself to death.
He did. What a wonderful world. So,
Ouch.
I love Louis Armstrong.
Oh, yeah, he was great. I mean, he was fantastic.
He was great.
October 20th, Play Misty for Me opens.
Play Mr. for
Play
Me.
Mr. for Me. Yeah.
Mr. Remember that band?
Oh, yeah. It opens in 6 cities around the country before going wide in November.
Yeah, it shows they weren't quite sure about it at the studio.
No.
It was a very different film.
I get that. Yeah. I mean, it was taking a gamble.
Look, it's 71. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in this movie. There's some nudity, which isn't a very common occurrence in films at that time.
No.
There was some pretty graphic, scary violence.
Oh, man.
And a third of the movie is just them walking around the Monterey Jazz Festival.
So much jazz festival and
good
random Carmel-by-the-Sea beachfront shots.
Oh, he loves Carmel.
No, he does.
He loves. You know what his favorite thing is?
Carmel Sunday.
Eating caramel and caramel.
So the script was originally conceived by Joe Himes, a former model and dancer turned secretary.
I love women named Joe, and they spell it J-O.
Yeah. Himes was born in Philadelphia on January 15th, 1930. She worked as a model, dancer, and fashion illustrator and moved to California in the 1950s to become a writer in show business.
Nice. And that is not easy to do as a woman back then.
Yeah, that's definitely like you got high aspirations jumping into the middle of the boys club.
Yeah. I mean, they had a few. Remember Rose Marie on the Dick Van Dyke Show? She was a writer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're definitely around, few and far between, but they're definitely around.
She was a tough broad, though, Rose Marie.
He had to be.
Yeah, he had to be one of the boys back then, which isn't, which is even more impressive with her being an ex-model.
Yeah.
So it's like, because they always portrayed women writers as dumpy and dowdy, and it was very insulting.
Or very bitchy and angry all the time.
It was extremely insulting.
Yeah.
But the reality of it was very different, apparently.
It was. Himes was first credited as a production secretary on the science fiction movie Missile to the Moon in 1958.
That was a good one. You know what they did?
They shot a missile to the moon.
Yep.
Himes received writing credits in television and movies in a wide range of genres for both independent and major film studios. These include the crime drama The Girl in Lover's Lane, the horror feature The Devil's Hand, the western Navajo Run, and the Elvis Presley musical Double Trouble.
Now, it's called The Girl in Lover's Lane?
Yeah.
In.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be on?
Apparently not.
Is she inside the lane? Is she like in it?
I've never seen The Girl in Lover's Lane.
I'm inside of it.
I don't know.
I'm going to destroy your love.
It was a crime drama, so I don't know.
Well, it was a crime. They put her inside
Maybe
the Lover's Lane.
The girl in Lover's Lane was murdered and buried inside Lover's Lane.
Nice.
I don't know.
We got to watch it now. Too many questions.
We have to. All right. While working at Universal Pictures, Himes crossed paths with and befriended Clint Eastwood, then an up-and-coming actor.
Hey, what up, Himes?
Yeah, I'm sure that they got along real well.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure he...
Yeah.
I'm sure they were doing the do. A lot of people were doing it back then.
Yeah.
They were doing it.
They were, by the late 1960s, Eastwood had achieved international fame as a Western action star and wanted to begin directing his own films.
Nice.
Himes drafted a 60-page screenplay for Play Fisty for Me.
Play Fisty for Me. Well,
that was a private game
parody.
she played with Clint Eastwood.
Yes. Oh, God. Yeah, please do not look up Play Fisty for Me.
Do not Google that.
It will scar you for life.
Yes.
I promise.
Himes drafted a 60-page screenplay for Play Misty for Me.
It seems short.
It does. Well, I think... Yeah, well, I mean, they had to... Maybe that's why they had to include the half hour of them walking around.
Right, it's true. There we go. Mystery solved. All the musical interludes would have had the 60-page script.
We'll just go to the Monterey Jazz Pop Festival. It'll be good.
The Monterey Jazz Pop Festival is pretty... Yeah, we'll just do that.
It was great. Himes based the obsessive fan character on a woman she knew after it was suggested to her by an acquaintance.
Creeps.
Yeah. Too many real people. Gene Shepard, I didn't include this, but Gene Shepard, the guy who created the Christmas Story. He was a journalist and writer and stuff.
Right.
He claims that this is partially based off of someone that stalked him.
Really?
Yeah. Which, granted, I'm beginning to think that it just happened a lot.
Yeah, it did. I got stalked, and I'm not even a celeb.
Yeah.
Oh, it's creeps, man.
Crazy
It is
creeps.
creepy.
Yeah, it's weird. Upon reading the treatment, Eastwood optioned the script from Himes. Clint Eastwood had an experience similar to this in real life about 21 years earlier, around 1950, when an ex-girlfriend stalked him and threatened to commit suicide after he broke up with her.
Emotional blackmail.
It's the best way to win someone's heart.
Well, yes. If you win them by emotionally blackmailing them, if I'm with you because you're not, if I leave you, you'll kill yourself. So I'm with you just to keep you alive.
Either you're with me or I'm dead.
Right. I don't resent you at all.
That's awful.
It really is. It's indicative of a much broader range of mental issues.
Yes.
Let's be honest. Look,
Just the tip of the iceberg on that one.
I want to say, as somebody who has dated people with mental illness, it's not a joke. And it's not funny, and it's not, I used to make a lot of jokes about it and, crazy ex-girlfriends and that kind of thing. But it's serious business, and it's dangerous business too. I mean, there are, if you date a sociopath, you don't know what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And the sad truth is there's a reason for them being a sociopath, and it's abuse, and it's a horrible childhood, and it's mostly from just being treated horrifically as a child. I'm no psychologist or psychiatrist. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I might as well be, because I have, but I'm just, I don't want to discount mental illness, and, because we all say, oh, the crazy exes and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, she's just crazy. She's crazy. Yeah. And it's partially true, but at the same time, it is, they need help.
Right.
Like, obviously they need help.
But for the purposes of this show, we might have a little fun.
Yeah.
Because it's pretend crazy.
We've both been with people that have been very crazy.
Yeah.
I think I've had to deal with it a little bit less than you have. I've made better choices with the women I've dated.
Hey, look, it's on me too.
No.
It's my own peccadillos that caused me to get into unhealthy relationships because I was unhealthy.
Right.
It takes two to tango, baby. And I'm not, Johnny Sane Pants, who was like, the greatest, most well-adjusted person in the world who just happened to fall into these, crazy relationships. It was part of my psyche too,
It's hard when two people want to start a relationship and they're both working through some really hard problems.
Well, there's also a certain thing that you and I suffered from.
Yeah.
I think I'm better at it now, and I think you are too.
Yeah.
Is we both had a hero complex.
Yeah.
Which is the coolest sounding, worst mental disorder you could have, because you want to save her. It's a very narcissistic
It is
complex where you feel that I basically felt that I was keeping these people alive, and without me, and it's not true. It's just a way, especially, I'm not speaking for you or other people that had the hero complex, but for me, it was a way to kind of shy away from my own issues and problems and focus on somebody else and be like, oh God, look at all these problems. I have to solve these. And, it's just a tapestry of just pain and ridiculousness, and it's unhealthy and it's codependent.
Yes.
And I want to 100% put my own responsibility on all of these issues.
Oh, sure. Of course. Well, Eastwood encouraged Himes to sell it to Universal when she received a larger offer from Ross Hunter at Universal, who then immediately shelved the project.
Dick. But what a great guy Clint Eastwood is. Like, if you're going to get more money, get more money. This is your career. He was thinking of her career rather than selfishly thinking of himself.
Right. Because I'm sure even back then he was like, oh my God, this would be so perfect to direct, to be my first feature. But you know what? It's better for her. Do it.
Exactly.
Like, I'll find something else. I'll do whatever.
It is a staple in his career that he has such long-running relationships with people that he has worked with for decades.
Yes.
Because they love working with him.
Yeah.
Because he fosters... When you work on a set, the director pretty much fosters the environment. So if the director is stressed and freaked out and a screamer, well, then it's going to be a bunch of freaked out screamers on set. Right. If the director is calm, knows what he's doing, it carries over.
Yeah.
And most everybody that's worked on a Clint Eastwood movie would go back.
Right.
And, because it's just, he takes the BS out of making movies and makes movies.
Yeah, he does. You're right, 100%. Like the director, I always go back to some bad TV show I worked on, and before every take, this great director, his name was Darren, he would always just be like, look, man, let's have fun. This is not rocket science.
Yeah.
Let's just have fun. Let's just do it.
Which, I mean, you have to get things done. You can't just be like, oh, let's party.
No, but you're not, it's still just making movies.
There's
making TV.
When I was younger and working on sets and stuff, I would literally kill myself, try to, work myself to death, or I would get hurt, or I would push myself to the limits. And looking back, that was just dumb. All you're doing is making movies. There's nothing life-threatening about this. There's no reason to put your life on the line, especially for the crappy movies I was. I almost killed myself 10 times working on Terror Within Part 2.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if I died working on that movie?
Yeah, that'd be sad.
Nobody'd ever remember me or that movie.
No.
It'd be worse.
That's true. So
actually, it'd be the only reason that movie would probably be a little bit more famous if I died on it.
So a short time later, Eastwood signed a 3-picture deal with Universal, and he brought the project back with the intention of making it the first film he would direct.
Nice.
Yeah, he's smart. He's not just creative; he's also a very good businessman.
He plays the long game.
He does. Before Malpaso Productions co-founder Irving Leonard died, he and Eastwood discussed a final film, one giving Eastwood the artistic control he desired by making his directorial debut.
Nice.
Eastwood reflected on his role.
After 17 years of bouncing my head against the wall, hanging around sets, maybe influencing certain camera setups with my own opinions, watching actors go through all kinds of hell without any help, and working with good directors and bad ones, I'm at the point where I'm ready to make my own pictures. I stored away all the mistakes I made and saved up all the good things I learned, and now I know enough to control my own projects and get what I want out of the actors.
Yeah. From the very early days of his career, Eastwood was frustrated by directors' insistence that scenes be reshot multiple times and perfected, and when he began directing in 1970, he made a conscious attempt to avoid any aspects of directing he had been indifferent to as an actor.
Great.
As a result, Eastwood is renowned for his efficient film directing and ability to reduce filming time and control budgets.
Yeah, but he's got it.
Yeah.
It's a certain amount of insecurity or perfectionism or a fault.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kubrick, but, making Shelley Duvall do 1,000 takes is not being a good director. That's being a sadist.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, there's Terry Gilliam's that way. Like, there's so many directors that are just burn the film.
Break down the actors to get what they want. It's just cruel.
It's Stanley Kubrick is very well known. I was listening to I went to a screening of Clockwork Orange, and Malcolm McDowell was there being interviewed by oh my God, I never remember his name. The bad guy in The Professional.
Gary Oldman?
Gary Oldman was interviewing Malcolm McDowell. They literally reshot like 90% of that movie after they finished it.
Really?
Because he wanted to change an actor, and so he just reshot all this stuff. And the big thing that Kubrick always said was, I don't know what I want, but I know what I don't want. And so he would just do stuff over and over and over until it finally found what he wanted.
Okay.
And I get it. Like, that can create like an amazing movie, but the process is awful.
Right, but he gets that process because he delivers, right?
Sure.
Look, there are certain auteurs that are head and shoulders above all other filmmakers. I would put Kubrick in that.
100%. I don't disagree.
And I don't agree with his methods, but it's like, look, Da Vinci, if he had weird, crazy, there's certain artists that are just artists.
Sure.
And I believe that Clint's an artist, but he eschews that artist, the bullshit, the BS of being an artist, all the pomp and circumstance, if you will, sheds that away and makes it base and easy and interesting. Yeah. And he's a guy that knows what he wants and gets it rather than the opposite.
Right. Yeah. Which is, I understand that's Kubrick's process, but if I were to work with him, I would literally never work with him again.
Sure. Well, not a lot of people did.
It would be, I would go insane.
It's
would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
We've worked with people like that. We know people like that, and I don't work with them anymore for that particular reason.
Well, those people weren't Kubrick. They did not deserve to
I don't
act
care.
that way.
I don't care because I know at the end of the day there are more people like Eastwood out there than there are like Kubrick.
Sure. Look, I would work with Kubrick if I had the chance, of course.
Yeah.
How could you not? But yeah, there's a lot. You're right. There are a lot of people that think that they're auteurs that aren't. There've been like 5 auteurs in the last 200 years.
He usually avoids actors. Clint Eastwood usually avoids actors rehearsing and prefers to complete most scenes on the first take.
Yeah, because it's like, it's fresh and it's new.
Capturing that raw energy.
Moment.
Yeah. Eastwood's rapid filmmaking practices have been compared to those of Woody Allen, Ingmar Bergman, Jean-Luc Godard, and the Coen brothers. When acting in others' films, he sometimes takes over directing, such as for The Outlaw Josie Wales, if he believes production is too slow.
God, that would be so humiliating. Although, let's just say that the Coen brothers emulate him because he came first.
Of course.
Okay. But yes, I mean, that would be horrifying if you were a director and he's like, I'm taking over.
Yeah. Hey, let's do it this way.
It's your chance, kid. Now it's my turn.
In preparation for filming, Eastwood rarely uses storyboards for developing the layout of the shooting schedule. He also attempts to reduce script background details on characters to allow the audience to become more involved in the film, considering their imagination a requirement for a film that connects with viewers.
He's more of an author than a filmmaker. He's like a guy writing a book and letting you interpret certain details. I mean, that's what that's what's beautiful about his filmmaking. It's less is more, and the less he creates, the more you create.
Right.
Because there's not a ton about this woman.
No, I don't know
up.
her background, don't know.
Nope.
She's just there.
Doesn't matter.
Like, she's been listening to him for a long time, but that's about it.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. You don't know a lot about Clint Eastwood's backstory.
No.
He was dating Donna Mills for a while.
Like
and, he's a player.
He came back. Eastwood has indicated that he lays out a film's plot to provide the audience with necessary details, but not
so much that it insults their intelligence.
He trusts his audience like he trusts his actors and the people he works with.
Exactly. He's a smart man who expects other people to be smart.
Yeah.
He doesn't put up with nonsense.
He just assumes you're going to be as into it as he is.
And he doesn't care if you're not.
Yeah.
He does not care. If you don't get it, you don't get it. He's not going to hold your hand.
Yeah. When Clint Eastwood told Universal Pictures executive Lou Wasserman that he wanted to direct this movie, Wasserman agreed immediately.
I'll do it. Yes, immediately. Of course.
Then, as Eastwood and his agent were walking down the hall, Wasserman called the agent back into his office.
Excuse me, Mr. Agent, could you come back here for just a minute?
In exchange for letting Eastwood direct, they wanted to pay him less than his regular salary under his 3-movie deal. Eastwood understood, given that he was a first-time director.
Aces, baby.
In the end, he made the movie for a percentage of the gross.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Smart move.
He made more money off of it that way than he did taking it. Yeah.
Of course he did. But he also understood that he's an unproven asset. And he can't just go in demanding stuff. Even though he was a successful movie star, he didn't go in there demanding stuff.
Well, yeah. He's never directed. Like, he knows that. He knows they know that.
Exactly.
It's like all right, give me a chance. I'll prove it. And then I'm going to have a long career.
He's so damn practical.
He is. That's what I love about him. He's so practical.
Yeah. And it just comes through. He's like a plumber or something. He's a tradesman.
It's a craftsman.
He's a tradesman and a craftsman, and directing is his trade.
Yeah.
And acting is his craft, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's excellent at both of them, but he treats them as such. They're not precious, they're important.
Yeah.
And he takes them very seriously. But it's not some precious...
No, he can tell the story he wants and still make people money. Like, it is the balance between the art and the commerce, and he does that so well.
Yeah, I would say he does that better than any other director, except for maybe Spielberg.
Yeah, Spielberg is very much handles that. Yeah, he gets that very well.
Or he did. I don't know. I haven't seen Welcome to the Fabelmans or whatever.
It seems a little self-indulgent, but we'll see. I don't know. It might be a good movie. I don't know.
They're always good movies. I don't think he's made a bad movie.
No.
Even his less...
Bridge of Spies?
No, that was interesting.
It was funny because it was one of those. He just came on and said, "All right, I'm going to do this."
All of his movies are interesting. They're not all E.T., but all of them are interesting.
No, they're always. You can always pull something from them.
Guy's a master.
Same with Eastwood. I'm not a
yes.
He has some movies that I'm like, but at the same time, they're all interesting and they all are entertaining enough to watch.
Yeah, look, he's got some lesser movies like Bloodwork. And
I mean,
I like all these. Look, I like all these movies.
Yeah,
they're very. There's not a lot of movies like the movies he made in the 80s and 90s, which were very kind of slow burn thrillers or just slow adult movies.
Yeah,
that just kind of went at their own pace, and it was a departure because at the time everything was quick cut.
Ugh,
it was all Michael Bay and it was all Transformers and it was all this, Matrix
quick.
and so it just seemed kind of quaint a lot of his filmmaking, but it was solid. He had Gene Hackman, and he had him, and he had really good actors, and Morgan Freeman, and, you know, the greatest Western ever made is The Unforgiven. I'm sorry. It's really a culmination of everything that he did as a, you know, it was the perfect Western for him and his character. It took all of the characters that he played and judged them.
Right.
He was judging his career almost as a cowboy and atoning for stuff. It was brilliant. I mean, look, that movie deserved all the Oscars it got.
Yeah, for sure.
$1 Million Baby deserved all the Oscars it got.
Yeah.
You know, the guy is still kicking it. Look, man, the mule, he's having a threesome at 90. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Gross, but honestly, come on, that's pretty awesome.
So Eastwood brought on Dean Reisner to polish the script for Play Misty for Me. Dean's father, Charles Reisner, was a German-American silent film director, and Dean began acting in films at the age of 4 as Dinky Dean.
Oh, God. That's a name you don't want to follow you around. Hey, Dinky Dean, you little dink.
His most notable film role was in Charlie Chaplin's 1923 film The Pilgrim.
Yeah, he played the Pilgrim.
It's crazy to think that a dude that worked on this movie was in a Charlie Chaplin movie. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's just...
71.
I know. Well, yeah. But I mean, this is like 50 years later, almost 50 years later.
But you know what's crazy? Is now the same era?
Yeah.
Play Misty for Me.
I know. Yeah, that's true.
So
that's
basically,
true.
we're at the same time span.
It's true. His career at this young age ended because his mother wanted her son to have a real childhood.
Wow. What a good
he
mom.
was no longer Dinky Dean. He was just Dean.
Oh, he was still Dinky Dean. That poor son of a bitch. Every time he went to school, hey, here comes Dinky Dean. You going to show us your dink, Dinky Dean, you little dink?
As an adult, his first job in films was as a co-writer of the 1939 Ronald Reagan movie Code of the Secret Service.
Code of the Secret Service.
Reisner won an Oscar for directing Bill and Coo in 1948, a feature film with a cast of real birds costumed as humans acting on the world's smallest film set.
Okay, I need to see that movie.
What?
I need to see that movie.
Like, what is this? I will find Bill and Coo. We'll watch it.
Please do. And it's an Oscar-winning film.
Yeah. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, Reisner worked primarily in television, including writing for Rawhide and the tourist attraction episode of The Outer Limits.
Hey, that's probably where he met Eastwood, was Rawhide, where he played Dusty or whatever. Rusty.
I think it was Rusty.
Just one more thing about Bill and Coo. You know they treated those birds horribly. It was
of course
1948.
They did. It was 1948, yeah.
So many birds died in that production.
They probably, drilled wires into them to pull them around and stuff.
I still want to see it, though.
He would occasionally contribute to feature films like The Helen Morgan Story. In 1968, he landed a job working on the Clint Eastwood action film Coogan's Bluff, and this in turn would lead to him writing several other Eastwood features throughout the 1970s.
Nice. Coogan's Bluff, good movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time. The same year as Play Misty for Me, Reisner penned Dirty Harry. Joe Hyams would actually do an uncredited rewrite on Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
Do you feel lucky, punk? Well, do ya?
It's such a good movie. Reisner would also write The Enforcer in 1976, the third Dirty Harry film. Reisner would write a draft of The Godfather Part 3, but the draft was discarded when Coppola and Puzo agreed to write the third film together.
Mistake. A huge mistake.
A
giant mistake.
Yeah. Reisner would go on to write Das Boot and Starman in the 1980s.
Das Gut. And I really love Starman.
Starman's great. I had no idea it was him.
Neither did I. And I didn't know he wrote Das Boot either.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
Oh, God. So claustrophobic.
Yeah,
man, Starman is such an underrated Jeff Bridges movie.
Yeah.
I was going to say Jeff Daniels.
No, Jeff Bridges.
Got my Jeffs mixed up, but
it was wasn't it directed by? I was going to say Cronenberg. That's not right. Carpenter. Didn't John Carpenter direct
I think
that?
he did.
Starman,
and it also starred Marion from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah. Karen
Allen.
Thank you.
Oh, thank God.
Two brains. We figured it out.
Yeah, we got to get better with actresses' names.
I know. It's Dad. It's bad. It's Dad.
It is Dad.
It's Dad.
And
Very
neither
stepdad.
of us are dads.
Yeah. During the 50s, Reisner was actually married to Mila Nurmi, better known as Vampirella.
Yeah, who was played by Lisa Marie.
She
played Vampirella in
in like
Ed Wood.
Ed Wood, yeah. Reisner
looked just like her.
Yeah, it was creepy. Reisner died from natural causes in 2002. Hyams would go on to write a number of features and TV movies before dying from breast cancer in 1978 at the age of 48.
Holy crap, that is so young.
It's too early. Too early.
And such a promising career.
Yeah. I really sad because I was really curious to see what she would do with her later career.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously Clint Eastwood was playing Dave Garver.
What?
Yeah, I know. He's in the movie. I don't know.
He had to audition for himself
He did.
6 times.
He did. He just kept doing it over and over.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
It's you, buddy.
It's my process.
Eastwood had just come off of acting in The Beguiled, directed by Don Siegel. Eastwood said of his role in The Beguiled,
Dustin Hoffman and Al Pacino play losers very well. But my audience always likes to be in there vicariously with the winner. That isn't always popular with critics. My characters have sensitivity and vulnerabilities, but they're still winners. I don't pretend to understand losers. When I read a script about a loser, I think of people in life who are losers, and they seem to want it that way. It's a compulsive philosophy with them. Winners tell themselves, I'm as bright as the next person. I can do it. Nothing can stop me.
You know, The Beguiled. Have you seen The Beguiled?
no.
Interesting movie. And it is really interesting because
Yeah.
he plays this Civil War veteran, not sure which side. I'm thinking maybe the bad side. And he gets injured and taken in by this girls' school or something.
Yeah, that sounds familiar, yeah.
And oh baby, it is creeps. They take his leg. It's just like
weird.
oh man, it is. I get what he's saying because as a fan of Clint Eastwood,
Yeah.
as a kid, you know, watching everything that he did and then coming across The Beguiled and being like, oh, another Clint
Yeah.
Eastwood movie.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to watch because
Wow.
it's hard to watch him be so vulnerable. It's true what
Right.
he's saying.
Yeah,
It's weird. And but it's a good movie. You should definitely check it out. I think Sofia Coppola made a remake of it.
Yeah. I don't
Recently.
remember what it was called, but yeah.
But it's super interesting. Check it out. It was back when he was making he was taking some risks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was pretty apparent by that point that he was ready to do new things and try new things. Like
yeah.
he was definitely, kind of done with it. Yeah.
I mean, he spent a lot of time in Italy.
Yeah, he did. He did. Jessica Walter was cast as Evelyn Draper. Walter is most likely known to modern audiences as playing Lucille Bluth in Arrested Development or as Mallory Archer in the animated series Archer.
Very similar characters, but also very different. She plays
Yeah.
overbearing mother.
So well.
So good.
She has over 170 credits to her name, spanning over 60 years. Walter had just come off the feature Number One in 1969, starring Charlton Heston.
I'm number 1, damn it.
She made guest appearances on 8 TV shows in 1970 and 1971, including Mission Impossible, Mannix, and Marcus Welby, MD.
Marcus Welby, MD.
She did a lot of TV at this time.
Well, yeah, she's just starting out.
Yeah. Universal Pictures originally wanted Lee Remick cast in the role of Evelyn, but Eastwood had been impressed with Jessica Walter's performance in Sidney Lumet's movie The Group in 1966 and cast her instead.
Yeah. Lee Remick, amazing actress. Amazing actress. Way too likable to play this part. She doesn't
Yeah.
have the eyes. Jessica
Yeah.
Walters has the eyes. She has crazy eyes down like nobody's business.
Yeah, I could totally I get how Eastwood was drawn in by her.
Oh, yeah.
And then the switch and kind of going into her being just cuckoo bananas.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I totally get it. I totally get it.
Also, I think there's no baggage with her as an actor.
Yeah.
People don't know her like
Yeah.
they know Lee Remick.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're easier. It's easier for them just to fall into the,
Yeah, just the kind of stereotypes and
Well, no, just it's easier for them to go along with the movie without having any
yeah,
preconceived notions.
agreed.
Oh, Lee Remick is always
right. Yeah, of course. Walter unfortunately would die in her sleep in 2021 at the age of 80.
That was so sad.
Too
I mean,
bad.
look, she had a really good run. I honestly think 80 is way too young at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
People are living to be 100.
Yeah.
My mom's in her 80s. I want her
Yeah.
to live to be in her hundreds.
Yeah.
And my stepdad is in his 80s. I want him to be in
Yeah,
his hundreds. But it's just, she was so vibrant.
Yeah.
And she was still working so hard. And she's still so good.
Still working so much.
my
She was
God.
just working like crazy.
Because everybody loved her.
Yeah.
And she was just like glamorous. She had this air about her, kind of old Hollywood air on screen
Yeah,
and in her
yeah.
characters. But as a person, super down to earth, very
Yeah.
funny.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
an
yeah.
amazing person overall.
Donna Mills was cast as Toby Williams, the on-again, off-again girlfriend of Clint Eastwood in the movie.
I think Joe likes men's names for ladies.
I think you're right. I think you're very right.
Yeah. God, she was so young, Donna Mills.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful
Oh,
young
yeah.
actress. My God, her eyes are so piercing.
She was so great in this movie, too. Like,
Oh,
she
yeah.
was so good.
Because it's a very the part could have just been the throwaway girlfriend part.
Yeah.
Used as a plot device. But she's such a well-rounded character, and there's so much going on there between those two. Their on again, off again relationship.
Yeah.
And she's kind of in control there. It's a very nuanced relationship. Clint Eastwood directs women really well, I will have to say, especially in the 70s, when we're just kind of starting with the ERA and we're just starting with, women's rights and feminism, rightly so. And I think he got that. And Clint is not afraid of strong women. He's not afraid of strong characters. And he proved that with this movie.
Yeah, I think the quote he has about the winners and the losers and winners just assume that the person next to them is going to be as good as they are. I don't think he sees women as like, oh, you're a woman, you're going to be less. It's like, no, you're an actor, you're good, this is going to be great.
Right.
So Donna Mills began her acting career on television with a 6-month stint on the CBS daytime soap opera The Secret Storm in 1966.
They all start on soaps.
Playing the character of Rocket.
Rocket!
Following this, she made her film debut in The Incident in 1967, co-starring alongside Martin Sheen, Beau Bridges, Ed McMahon, and Thelma Ritter. Ooh. Yeah. She appeared on Broadway in Woody Allen's comedy Don't Drink the Water as the Sultan of Bashir's wife. And in the fall of 1967, she gained a regular role as ex-nun Laura Donnelly on the soap Love is a Many Splendored Thing.
Yeah, it's a good soap.
More soaps. Mills relocated to the West Coast in 1970, thereupon making her primetime TV debut in an episode of Lancer and appearing in Play Misty for Me.
Lancer.
Prior to signing a contract for Universal Studios in 1972, she spent much of the 70s appearing as a guest on top-rated television shows such as...
The $6 Million Man, Hawaii Five-0, The Love Boat, Chips, The FBI, Quincy M.E., the UK's Thriller series, nothing to do with Michael Jackson, Policewoman, and Fantasy Island, the plane, as well as many made-for-TV movies.
In 1980, Mills landed her most prominent role, that of scheming, manipulative vixen Abby Cunningham on the long-running primetime soap opera Knots Landing.
Abby was a scheming lady. It was crazy. So Knots Landing is all about Don Knotts and his compound that he created after being on Three's Company and being on the Andy Griffith Show. And he was a very evil man. I'm going to get you. And Donna Mills was always scheming to get Don Knotts his money.
It wasn't about Don Knotts coming back from the moon and how he landed coming back from the moon? Yeah.
Yeah, and he turned into a fish.
Mills portrayed Abby from 1980 to 1989. She continues to act, most recently appearing in Jordan Peele's Nope.
Which she was awesome in.
She was great. It was very short, but she was so good in it.
Yeah, it was worth it. She's still a firecracker, and she's still beautiful, and she still has the chops.
John Larch got cast as Sergeant McCallum. Larch served 4 years in the United States Army during World War II, an experience that left him troubled for years after his discharge. In a 1965 interview with the Berkshire Eagle, a newspaper in his home state, he shared his views on how military service had affected him personally, especially his difficulties in readjusting to civilian life.
What was my hang-up then? Just about everything. I was looking for the 4 years I had lost in service. I was also looking for a rhyme or reason to the mass murders that took place. I was looking for the ideals I had once had. I was disgusted with the world. A world in which civilians acted as though there hadn't been a worldwide Holocaust.
Yeah, it was bad.
It's a lot of stuff to deal with.
Yeah. After his lead role in the radio serial Captain Star of Space during the broadcast season of 53 to 54, he began to perform increasingly in films.
There's 2 R's, the star.
Captain Star.
The extra R's for rocket power.
Yeah. He was usually cast on the big screen in westerns like How the West Was Won in 1962 and in other action films including Miracle of the White Stallions as General George S. Patton Jr. in 1963, the television film Collision Course Truman vs. MacArthur as General Omar Bradley in 76, and replacing James Gregory as Mac in the movie The Wrecking Crew in 1969 starring Dean Martin, Sharon Tate, and Elkie Summer.
There's a wrecking crew.
The Wrecking Crew, yeah, exactly. Larch also appears in Dirty Harry. He was great in this movie.
Oh, yeah, he was.
He was fantastic. The relationship between... It was great because it started with him kind of being like... kind of an asshole to Eastwood.
Yeah.
But then he realized how really crazy this chick was, and he was like, okay.
Yeah, because they're dismissive at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because this kind of thing also wasn't common back then.
Right.
You know, we didn't... This is the precursor to Fatal Attraction, coming later this month.
Yeah.
For Love Hurts. But But it's the same movie, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
I mean, it's basically a remake, let's be honest.
Yeah.
You know, very...
I mean, it changes details.
Yeah, but it's the same
yeah.
movie.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it when we get to Fatal Attraction.
All right.
It's really interesting. There's some weird connections between this movie
Yeah,
and
well,
Fatal
this
Attraction.
movie, yeah, it's just that this film depicted stalking in such a very... I want to say there's a truth to it.
Yeah.
And I want
Yeah.
to say that it didn't shy away from the awful details. Like the scariest part of that movie is when she attacks his cleaning lady.
Oh, my God.
That is very Hitchcockian, by the way. It very much.
Yeah.
It very much reminded me of the shower scene in Psycho.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for
And
sure.
oh my God, Jessica Walters just hits. She's freaking frightening on that.
she's
It is.
So scary.
Oh my God, and it's just her. It's just a shot of her.
Poor
bloop, bloop,
her.
bloop with the
yeah.
knife.
The poor cleaning lady.
Oh my God, the look she gives Eastwood when they're wheeling her out
Yeah.
on the stretcher is so sad. It's just like, you did
Yeah.
this to me.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
did this to me. And he's like,
I did.
You could have.
I feel like crap, but I did.
Could have ended this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. They cast Jack Ging as France. Ging didn't have as much success in film as he did. I'm sorry. They cast Jack Ging as Frank, not France, because France is a country.
well, Franz Ferdinand.
Jack Ging as Frank. Ging didn't have as much success in film as he did in TV. Ging had a recurring role as Lieutenant Dan Ives, one of many of Joe Mannix's Los Angeles Police Department contacts on Mannix from 1967 to 1975.
Hey, Dan Ives, it's me, Maddox. Need some help?
Ging's other roles were on
The Roaring Twenties. The $6 Million Man. The Bionic Woman.
Wise guy.
BJ and the Bear. The Winds of War. And War and Remembrance.
In 1981, Ging played Tracy Winslow in the episode My Heroes Have Always Been Cowboys of ABC's The Greatest American Hero.
Oh, I love that show so much.
I know.
I love that show so much. We're doing
You had a
that
costume
show.
for that, didn't you?
I was too old at that point
No.
for my costumings. Yes, that was...
You were like 12.
Yeah, my costume play...
Too cool for
was
school then,
under
weren't
10.
you?
Yeah. No, I mean, you... Look, did I want to wear a costume? Yeah,
The answer is yes.
of course. But I had to curb that or my stepdad would have murdered me.
Yeah. From 1984 to 1985, Ging played the arrogant Lieutenant Ted Quinlan on the adventure detective series Riptide. His character was killed off, and he went on to appear on the A-Team as villain General Harlan Bull Fulbright in a couple episodes.
Harlan Bull, all right. Get
Yeah.
me the A-team.
Ging passed in 2022 at the age of 90.
Oh, good run.
I mean, honestly, all of them, I've been including a lot of the deaths in these, but it's because all of them, like, got up into their, like, 80s and
Yeah.
90s. Like, they,
Thanks, COVID.
yeah.
Killed all of our favorite stars.
Irene Hervey was cast as Madge. She began her acting career after being introduced to a casting agent from MGM.
Oh.
After a successful screen test, she was signed by the studio and made her screen debut in the 1933 film The Stranger's Return opposite Lionel Barrymore.
Lionel Barrymore, related to Drew Barrymore.
Yes, I think it was her grandfather.
Yes. Yeah.
She would later sign a contract with Universal Pictures, appearing in numerous films for the studio, including the Western Destry Rides Again in 1939, opposite Jimmy Stewart and Marlene Dietrich.
You know, there are so many people that I know, and they're younger people that love the Destry series for some
Really?
reason. Yeah, it's weird.
Interesting.
I don't get it.
Weird, yeah. At Universal from 1940 to 1943, Hervey had the lead in 11 B pictures, 1 A picture, and 1 serial. In 1943, she was seriously injured in a car accident and was forced to retire from acting for 5 years.
Damn. Well, that's more of a leave of absence than retirement.
Yeah. Hervey would appear in a
I'm a
number...
stickler.
Well, that's fine. Hervey would appear in a number of TV programs throughout the 50s and 60s. In 1969, Hervey was nominated for an Emmy Award for Outstanding Single Performance by an Actress in a supporting role for her appearance on My Three Sons.
My Three Sons. You remember that show?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, it was great. I once played golf behind Uncle Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
He was like 140 years
Oh,
old.
God.
And I was like, hey, Uncle Charlie. And he was like, look, he was the greatest guy. And he literally must have been 100.
Yeah,
And he's like,
Yeah, I'm old. You go in front of me, because I'm old now.
I was like, okay, Uncle Charlie.
Don't call me that. God damn it.
After playing Misty for Me, Hervey retired from film acting but continued to work in television. Her son Jack Jones sang the Love Boat theme.
Love, exciting and new. Come aboard
We're expecting you in love. Won't hurt anymore. I'm going to go on.
The scene with Clint Eastwood and her when she's like, we want to get you in on the radio and give you a whole new career.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I love it. And then, oh, man, here comes Crazy Sauce.
Oh, God, yes.
What are you doing? Screwing a senior citizen. Oh, it was just so painful to watch.
It was so uncomfortable.
And oh, my God, his reaction to that is so good. It's so real. Like, he just takes her out.
He's like, we're going now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, what are you doing? And then he is such, look, Clint Eastwood's a bit of a player in this movie.
Sure.
But he's also a pretty nice guy. He puts up with a lot of crap with her.
He does.
You know?
And to, like you were saying earlier, partially it's his own fault.
Yes.
I mean, he needed to cut that out and be done with it.
Yeah, he had it shot.
He's a nice guy.
He blew it.
And he
blew it because he had an out.
He did.
And then he slept with her again. And that was just the dumbest. Then it's on him.
That was the moment where I was like, oh, buddy, this is all on you now, man.
Do you remember being a younger man and giving the opportunity to have sexual relations? It was hard to
showed
pass up.
and was naked outside of his house.
Yeah, well, that's not the craziest thing she did.
But still, like that's.
It's not like she did it in the radio station.
I know, but still, Well,
she's a goon, and she was so good at being unhinged. Oh my God, she was so good.
Yeah.
It was so uncomfortable. The whole movie's just squirming.
Those eyes, constantly those eyes.
You won't ignore me.
Oh, I called and you said you weren't here and I was outside waiting.
Oh, God.
So, Irene Hervey passed from heart failure in 1998 at the age of 89.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good run.
That's a good run, yeah. James McEachin as Al Monte. He was one of the other DJs. McEachin served in the United States Army before and then during the Korean War. He was wounded almost fatally in an ambush.
Oh, my God.
McEachin was one of only 2 soldiers to survive the ambush.
Oh, my God.
It's crazy. I can't even imagine.
No, because the survivor's guilt on that.
Oh, awful.
Jesus.
And then, but also, like, you can't really, you're almost dead yourself. Like, what do you do? I mean.
Look, I can't even fathom war. I can't even, my tiny little dumb brain can't even conceive of the horror of being a soldier in war. And
no, awful. I don't know. I would shut down.
I
would just shut down.
Nothing but respect for veterans. It's just, I mean, I guess we all can rise to the occasion or whatever, and I guess we find out what our medal is when we're put in that situation.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
He was awarded both the Purple Heart and Silver Star in 2005 after it was discovered McEachin had no copies of his own military records.
Good Lord.
He was awarded 7 Medals of Valor in total 50 years after his service. Yeah, they lost his records.
7? Do you know the amount of stuff you have to do?
Yeah.
To just get one?
Yeah. He was a war hero.
That guy
at
is
the end of the day.
Bona fide MFing war hero.
He fascinating, absolutely fascinating life. Following his military career, McEachin dabbled in civil service, first as a fireman and then a policeman in Hackensack, New Jersey, before he moved to California and became a record producer.
I hate Hackensack, New Jersey. I'm going to California.
War hero to cop to record producer. Like, it's like, what? Okay.
There was a time, Adam, where you could basically do that stuff.
Yeah, you could.
That's
true.
It wasn't impossible to get into the movie business. People didn't care about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. People liked movies, but they didn't want to get into it.
Right.
Not everybody wanted to be an actor, an influencer, or a celebrity back then. So it was, you could go be like, hey, I'm a phlebotomist here in Hawaii. Now I'm going to go to California and produce commercials. Yeah. And people be like, okay, whatever you want to do. We need people.
He was known as Jimmy Mack in the industry. He worked with young artists such as Otis Redding and went on to produce The Furies.
Nice. Jimmy Mack. That's a great
record producer name.
God, Jimmy Mack. It's perfect.
He began his acting career shortly after and was signed by Universal as a contract actor in the 1960s. He would usually appear as cops or lawyers in TV shows like
Hawaii Five-0, The Rockford Files, Mannix, The Feather and Feather Gang. The Feather and Father Gang?
Yeah.
The Feather and Father Gang. I have no idea what that is.
Never heard of it.
The Eddie Capra Mysteries, Matlock, Jake and the Fat Man, Diagnosis Murder, Dragnet, It Takes a Thief, and Adam 12. You only put that
my
in
show,
yeah.
It's
one
my
Adam
show,
12, one Adam 12.
He appeared in an uncredited part in the film Coogan's Bluff in 1968 with Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. He appeared in Every Which Way But Loose with Eastwood in 1978. He made his third film with Eastwood in 1983 when he starred as Detective Barnes in the fourth Dirty Harry movie Sudden Impact. One of McEachin's daughters was Ice Cube's personal assistant for a long time.
Nice.
McEachin resides in Encino, still happily enjoying his 92 years. He's 92 years old. I don't think he's acting anymore, but...
well, maybe we'll run into him because we live really close.
He lives next door in Encino.
Yeah, I'm going to start walking.
Fascinating life, this guy.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Clarice,
to go from all of that... To go from all of that pain and horror to being so successful, it just shows that this guy has it, you know, has a work ethic and has a resilience that is kind of rare today.
I am sure that him and Eastwood got along very well.
Oh, yeah.
Very well. Yeah. Clarice Taylor was cast as Birdie, his unfortunate housekeeper.
Poor Birdie.
Taylor was best known for her recurring role on television on The Cosby Show as Dr. Heathcliff Cliff Huxtable's mother, Anna Huxtable.
She was great.
She was fantastic in that show.
Oh, yeah. Both the actors that played his parents were awesome.
Oh, yeah. The dad was really great, too.
They should have disciplined a lot more because Dr. Cosby...
Well, in the fictional world, he was not a rapist. No. So
he was the opposite.
He was.
He was an OBGYN. Is that the opposite of a rapist?
No. She was nominated for an Emmy Award in 1986 for her role on The Cosby Show.
Very deserved.
She was also a regular on Nurse, played Harriet on Sesame Street, and appeared as Grady's cousin Emma on Sanford and Son.
Coming to join you, Elizabeth.
She died in 2011 from congestive heart failure at the age of 93.
This movie just is longevity city, man.
Exactly. All except for poor Joe Hymes, man.
I know.
It's disappointing.
It's unfair.
Yeah. So the storyline for Play Misty for Me was originally set in Los Angeles, but at Eastwood's insistence, the film was shot in the more comfortable surroundings of the actual Carmel-by-the-Sea, where he would shoot scenes at the local radio station, bars, and restaurants in friends' houses.
Brilliant, because he wanted to set it in a place where he was comfortable.
Yeah.
Where he knew the locations, he knew the people. It was basically hometown boy makes movie at home.
He was setting himself up for success.
Yeah, and it gives him a much more comfortable place to shoot, and he already knows the area. He knows what he wants to do, so it was really smart of him to do that.
They actually moved the studio, the radio station. They actually moved it while they were shooting, and I think it stayed in the new location. It was like in an office building, but they moved it and they shot in the actual radio station.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Filming commenced in Monterey, California in September 1970, and although this was Eastwood's debut as film director, Don Siegel stood by to help and also had an acting role in the film as the bartender.
He was so good.
So great. The first scene Eastwood shot was Don Siegel's cameo as Murph the bartender.
Murph. What a great name for a bartender.
So great.
Hey, Murph.
His mustache was so fantastic.
Give me the usual, Murph.
As a joke, Eastwood made Siegel do 11 takes, then told the cameraman to put the film in the camera.
Okay, put the film in the camera.
Hardy har har. I think it's great.
Great joke, Clint. I did that to you 30 years ago, you idiot.
Don Siegel also directed Eastwood in Coogan's Bluff in 1968, Two Mules for Sister Sarah in 1970, Dirty Harry in 71, The Beguiled in 71, and Escape from Alcatraz in 1979.
Have you seen Two Mules for Sister Sarah?
No. Is that about nuns?
It's pretty funny.
Siegel directed the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers in 1956.
Nice.
He would also direct John Wayne's last movie, The Shootist, in 1976.
Really good movie.
Yeah.
Not great looking, kind of looks like a TV movie a little bit, but
yeah,
it is such a great and poignant ending to
his career.
Wayne's career.
Yeah.
It stars he and little Ronnie Howard.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a gunslinger who's dying of cancer. And
oh, wow.
And Wayne was dying of cancer at the time.
Right.
Pretty sure.
He got very method.
Well, it was sad because he wasn't looking like him.
And, no. He was a very broken. Yeah.
But it was such a great performance by Ron Howard, who you forget was such an impeccable young actor, and just a good send off for Mr. Wayne.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, totally. I've seen it. I've not seen it in a long time.
I gotta sit on this pillow because of my cancer.
Frequent collaborators of Siegel's, such as cinematographer Bruce Surtees, editor Carl Pingator, and composer Dee Barton, made up part of the filming team. Again, Eastwood surrounding himself with people he knows.
Yep.
Additional scenes were shot at the Monterey Jazz Festival in September 1970, featuring jazz greats Johnny Otis, Cannonball Adderley, and future Weather Report founder Joe Zawinul.
This was the way, Clint was like, I gotta get to that festival, but I gotta work. Wait a minute, light bulb. Yeah, let me call up Joe. I gotta answer for the 30 pages we're missing in the script. It's called Walkin'.
The Sardine Factory is still at the same location as in the film at Prescott and Wave Streets, just one block up from Cannery Row in Monterey.
God, it stinks. You know it stinks. It stinks so bad.
It's your favorite restaurant, Sardine Factory. Yeah. The radio station KRML was an actual jazz station in Carmel, whose studios were relocated to the Eastwood building at San Carlos and Fifth in the same building as the Hog's Breath Inn, a restaurant that Eastwood owned.
He owned all of it. He was mayor of Carmel.
Large part of Carmel, yeah.
He ended up serving as mayor for many years. He ended up marrying one of the newscasters from Carmel.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's his current wife. I'm not sure if
Oh, really?
I think they're still together. Yeah, that man loves Carmel, and rightly so. Have you ever been to Carmel?
No.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it looked amazing in the movie.
It is just it was a lot more laid back then.
Sure.
He got a lot of attention because of Mr. Eastwood. And,
Yeah.
But it was such a quaint little village almost.
Little hamlet. Yeah.
It's just a perfect little chunk of America.
Yeah.
Where you could just go and escape.
Nice little city by the seaside. Phoebe and I have a friend that lives in Monterey, so we're most likely this year going to go up to that area at some point. So we'll have to go by Carmel-by-the-Sea.
You do, and you have to play Misty for me.
I will play Misty for you, Jim. So after a brief dark period, the radio station returned to the air in 2011. It's still on the air.
Good.
KRML.
Carmel Radio. KRML.
Every time he said it, it was like just say Carmel.
Can't.
KRML.
You got to say the call letters.
I know,
It's
I know.
FCC regulation. I'm going to say FAA regulation. Got my F's wrong. My A's and my C's.
The rights to the song Misty were obtained after Eastwood saw Errol Garner perform at the Concord Music Festival in 1970.
Kind of important to have the rights to the song that
Yes.
is the title of your movie.
Yeah, usually, yeah.
You have to change it to play Rock Around the Clock for me.
Play It's a Wonderful World for me. Eastwood also paid $2,000 for the use of the song The First Time I Ever Saw Your Face by Roberta Flack.
First time
That was when they were walking around the seaside for hours.
saw your face. It's not the most energetic song.
No, but it's so
in the biz.
1971.
Oh my God, it is. And Roberta Flack is very 70s.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a beautiful song about the first time ever she saw your face.
Yes. Meticulous planning and efficient directorship by Eastwood, which would become one of his trademarks, enabled the film to be made nearly $50,000 short of its $1 million budget, and it was completed 4 or 5 days ahead of schedule.
$50,000 is a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, the fact that it was only $1 million.
I know.
It's
I know.
insane.
Yeah.
And to come in under $1 million,
Even
as a pro.
under budget at all. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's very atypical.
Play Misty for Me premiered in October 1971 at the San Francisco Film Festival. It was a mild financial success, grossing $10.6 million at the U.S. and Canadian box office. It grossed $133,000 its first week from 6 theaters, finishing 10th for the week at the box office in the U.S. and Canada.
It's 10 times its budget.
It made money.
That's not bad.
And God knows Eastwood saw a good chunk of that.
It's a good return. Much better than his directing fee. Yeah, that's
I wouldn't doubt if he probably pulled down like a couple $100,000 for it.
Oh, I'd say, yeah, at least. I mean,
depending on points. I mean, even if you got 5%, that's
maybe
still,
even $1 million.
That's
If you
still
got 10%,
hefty-
that's $1 million.
Well, yeah, even if 5%, that's a
$500,000
hefty. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better than he would have gotten for doing his acting.
That guy's shrewd.
Yeah. Roger Ebert wrote,
Play Misty for Me is not the artistic equal of Psycho, but in the business of collecting an audience into the palm of its hand and then squeezing hard, it is supreme.
Jessica Walter was nominated for the 1972 Golden Globe Award for Best Actress Drama. For
Should have got an Oscar nom.
Agreed. In Dirty Harry, a cinema marquee that clearly shows the title of Play Misty for Me is visible in the very beginning of the film as Inspector Detective
Harry Callahan.
is on his lunch break before the bank robbery, which opens the movie.
And he looks up at the marquee and he's like, not for me.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Too slow.
I didn't buy it.
Didn't like the lead.
So that's all I got for the movie. But man, I'd never seen this before we started watching it. Before we decided we were going to do this, and movie just blew me away.
It's great. It is really, really interesting. And yeah, Clint Eastwood's a million years old now, and you forget that he's been in the business for 70 years.
Yeah,
Basically?
since the early 50s. Yeah.
So it's fun to see him as a young, energetic, handsome man.
Yeah.
And that hair, baby. But he's also, the thing about Eastwood is, he's the tough guy. He's the tough guy. He's really not. I mean, he's tough and capable in all of his movies, but he's also, there's always an underlying either sadness or underlying psychology or something going on under the surface of his characters that make them a lot more well-rounded than they deserve to be sometimes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that loser quote isn't like, I can never play a loser.
No.
It's more like he understands what the audience wants from him.
Yeah.
And I think he learned that on The Beguiled. And look, not everybody could be everything.
Yeah.
There are certain actors like Arnold, or Stallone, and look, Clint Eastwood is a much better actor than both those guys. No disrespect to them.
Sure.
But there are certain, like, you don't want to see, Stallone's never going to play the head of surgery at Johns Hopkins University,
No, because that part's already taken by Steven Seagal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's CIA surgeon. And he built a career knowing what the audience wants, knowing what he wanted, and kind of just doing his thing.
Yeah.
The guy has quietly made movies for 50 years.
Yeah.
And he's still making movies.
Yeah.
In
One a year.
his 90s. And that's and quality product.
Right.
Not as good as the other stuff he's done. But
Sure.
I enjoyed that last movie he did, which the name I forget, where he goes and gets the kid from Mexico. And
The Mule? That wasn't the Mule.
No, The Mule.
There was one after that.
It was after that. It was based on a book, and
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
it was fine. The Mule was really interesting. He's still doing interesting work,
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's doing what he wants to do. And I think he's always done what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty admirable in this business. There's not a lot of people that pave their own way and last.
Right. I see his quote about the losers is not. It's not that being a loser is bad. It's just that you can be sensitive and vulnerable and still be sure
Right.
of yourself.
Right.
I think his reference to like Hoffman and some of the others then is that they were just kind of sad sack schlubs, and it was like, no, you can be sensitive and still be a radio jazz DJ that still knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I also think that he was saying that they're good at that. That they can do it, and he's not. I think it was more of a revelation than a dig.
Right,
I think
totally,
it's like,
totally.
those guys can do it, but my audience, when they see it, they don't buy it as much.
Yeah.
And I get it. And back then, I mean, the guy was the original tough guy.
Oh, yeah.
He was the original action star. He was the original, the original franchise guy with all of the spaghetti westerns, and with the Dirty Harry franchise, and he just always does quality work. Even the movies that aren't as great as Unforgiven or $1 Million Baby, they're still very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
And they're different. You watch Blood Work, it is such a low-key, interesting movie. It's like a 70s movie made in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen Blood Work?
I want to say yes.
Jeff Daniels, and
I think so. If I haven't, it's been a long time.
he's like a cop going after a guy and has a heart attack and has a heart transplant, I think.
Yeah,
And the serial killer's back. And interesting movie. I think I've seen every movie he's done.
Of course.
Because
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of his.
Yeah.
I always have been, and I always will be. I don't care about politics. I don't care about that stuff.
Whatever.
Yeah, the thing he did talking to the chair.
I thought it was really funny.
It was funny, and at this point, it's quaint. I mean, let's be honest.
Yes. But his politics notwithstanding, he's never put that at the forefront. It's never been. He just is like, I'm going to work.
Yeah.
Like, I have my opinions, but that's separate from my work.
Well, it was so out of character for him to appear.
Yeah.
and be political. Yes,
Right.
he is conservative and political, and
Sure.
he was a mayor for a long time. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, he's
yeah.
in politics, but I think the guy is more interested in making art
Yeah.
and entertaining people than he is of dividing people and being
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
yeah.
you lazies." I don't know.
He's the kind of guy that's like, yeah, these are my politics. You're gonna like me anyway, and you're gonna come see my movie because I'm good at what I do, and you're gonna be entertained.
He's also one of those guys that worked his ass off to get
Yeah.
to where he is.
Oh, yeah.
And started off, I think he started off pretty poor. And
Yeah.
you know, I have his autobiography, which is really good if you want to read it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But or biography, I'm not sure if he wrote it himself. I don't know. I got it years ago. But just there hasn't been another American filmmaker with such a prolific career and such a career of just quality in terms of being an actor and a director.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I can't think of a first effort for a movie that had this is like this good. Like
So,
a director
yeah.
that does like, their first movie and it is like this successful.
Filled with ambition, filled with challenges for the audience. Just a really great debut performance as a director that just got better and better and better
Yeah.
as he went
Yeah.
along. And the guy deserves all the success that he's had. And I hope that he keeps making movies until he's in his hundies, man.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's possible. The guy doesn't seem to
mean-
be like he's stopping.
Yeah, because he's what, like 93 now, I think? 92?
Yeah, get off my lawn.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week. We got another fun Love Hurts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. This is giving me flashbacks this whole month. But do yourself a favor. If you haven't seen this movie, watch it.
Yes.
It's a perfect Sunday afternoon movie.
Yeah.
If it's on a rainy day, get yourself some soup and a grilled
Yeah.
cheese and pop on and play Misty for me. You're going to love it.
So good.
It's a great movie. We're going to be back again next week with, my other favorite actor, my other favorite guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Old Harrison Ford.
Another tough guy that can play sensitive.
Yes. and
Yeah.
Presumed innocent.
Oh, yeah. It's
Is
going to
he
be fun.
innocent?
It's going to be interesting.
We're going to presume it. I'll see you next week. It really shows how much, I was going to say John Wayne. That's not him.
Nope.
How much Jack Nicholson wanted to, I know. What's his name?
Walter Matthau?
Yes. Walter Matthau. Clint Eastwood. Okay.
Clint Eastwood, yes.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Benson, already in progress.